All right. It is Monday night, end of the day, and I wanted to pose the question to you guys. What are you a steward of? I was challenged today by one of my business mentors, Michael. Thank you very much, Michael, for said, what's an important word for those of you that that follow what I'm sharing, resonate with it, that you feel like, hey man, what's David's talking about really means something to me. And I hope, not just hope, but I really believe steward and stewardship is a key word. Are you a steward of your life? Are you a steward of what has been entrusted to you? What are you a steward of? Or do you even think you're a steward? I hope if you're watching or listening to this, you hear loud and clear that you are a steward. We're all given 24 hours in a day. We're all given a certain amount of time to influence and impact the world. Now that can be either a positive thing or it could be a negative thing. I'm hoping, and I actually want to move past hope, but I want to get you to, you are having an positive impact. You are making a legacy. You are affecting those around you. And it starts with being a good steward of yourself, right? So I would encourage you to embrace the word steward. Am I a steward? To me, it's a very powerful, empowering word, because you get to steward yourself, you get to steward your time, you get to steward your money, you get to steward your environment that you're a part of, you get to steward your community. These are things you get to do should you choose to. You can be something active and intentional, or you can choose to make something kind of an afterthought. I'm looking and reaching out to those of you that want to do something more of a proactive way of being, recognizing that, you know what, I don't want to just be the status quo. I just don't want things just to float along. I want to be intentional with how I take care of those things that have been entrusted to me. And obviously our bodies are one of the first areas that we can be entrusted. And for example, my wife was dinging me last night in a good way of, hey, you're staying up a little too late working on some things, you need your rest. Absolutely, we need to be stewards of how we take care of our bodies, because if it's our bodies are not working well with us, it's the rest of the body doesn't, the best of the relationships and connections don't work very well if I'm sleepy or I'm not engaged fully with those around me. And so I want to encourage you to think about this: is where are you a steward, or where are you maybe falling down in that area? Um, I speak really intentionally about those that are in a leadership role, because you're not just stewarding yourself, but you're stewarding your team. You're looking after those in your um, oikos, if you will. That's kind of your community or your group, to use that term. If you are married, well, you get to look after your spouse. If you have children, that's expanding that, right? If you're in a organization of any some sort, you are been entrusted and you become a steward of the resources, whether it's financial, physical, um, and how you manage those makes all the difference. It really makes all the difference. This is what I'm passionate about, of helping teams come together to be good stewards of their individual responsibilities, and in turn, how that affects the overall health of the organization. So, if you feel like this word resonates with you, drop it in the comments, because I'd love to hear. Just say it's steward. That, it's steward resound is resounding to me. It hits me. It makes an impact on me, and I believe that I am a steward. To me, as a biologist, as one that works in nature, um, I feel very impassioned that it's my duty and responsibility, as my time on this earth, to be a good steward of the resources I have around me, and not to waste them, not to treat them lightly. And that's the same way I treat people and individuals, relationships, right? Being a good steward of those people, relationships you've been entrusted to. Um, I want to encourage you in that, because if you embrace this word, I think it's a very powerful word. I think it's been lost in our world a little bit. Um, to me, stewardship of our natural environment, that's common. Maybe stewardship of money comes up in there too. But think about stewardship of your body, stewardship of the physical things you have in your life, whether you hold on to them, or honestly, for me, one of the things is being a good steward of things I have is to give them away. to let go of certain things because that is a blessing and that's giving other people the opportunity to have those things. What about a position? You have a stewardship of a position that you had, and then to step out of that position to allow somebody else to step into it. Think about that. That's a powerful concept. You have had it, and now you're moving and you're transitioning. Can you transition well? And that to me is a skill of stewardship, meaning you've taken a position, you've watched over something, and now you're moving it on and you're allowing somebody else to come in. That's really, really key for what I work on with business owners and their teams is you have certain roles, right? That you took. I worked with a company for 4.5 years. I took on multiple roles. And if I held on to just one way of being like, oh, I've got to be this, or oh, I'm going to hold on to this, I wasn't being a good steward letting go of letting somebody else grow and develop into that role and help, embrace it. Um, and I want to be a good steward. I want to be somebody that is conscientious and thoughtful and caring and looking after what I have been entrusted. And think about this, as again, not just work, but think about your children or your spouse, what you've been entrusted in. Here's the thing: the better we're at stewarding and looking after those things, in my experience, the greater opportunities and experiences you have. It increases your capacity to take on more, which what is an amazing thing. To much, you know, to as you are able to handle this, too much you've been given, much is expected, but that means you can only grow that means you can grow that much more. So that to me excites me. It's challenging, but oftentimes what we will do is we can stay in an area that we're doing really, really well at. We're actually pretty good at, right? We're doing pretty good at, but we're not being good stewards, meaning we need to move from good to great, good to something greater. We're being called to move from the one peak, the one area you're at, right? In life, you're great. And now you need to move. You need to move positions. You need to be able to, and that's uncomfortable sometimes for us. This is challenging for us. I think particularly when you're actually having you've been good, you've reached some level of success, right? And you're like, "Man, I wanna just hold on to this." I'm like, "Well, that's not being a good steward." If you're just trying to hold on to it and you're like, "Oh, this is me, I need to have this," I would challenge you to say, maybe you're not being a good steward of that. Maybe you're not taking care of that well. Um, the way we show up and the way we take care of our lives, our relationships, it makes a huge difference in your ability and capacity to grow and expand. So, again, if you watch this and you rewatch this later or you catch this, my word for the day is steward. And if you feel like, you're not a steward or you're struggling with that, or maybe in one area you're feeling good with it, but another area you're like, I'm not, I'm really not being a good steward with the way I'm watching over my children. Or particularly for those in business, this is where my strength of the Steward Your Business uh, program and the coaching comes in, is that I want to be a good steward of all of the resources, the responsibilities that have been entrusted to me, right? If you're not taking care of those well, you're not showing up in a powerful way, in a clear way, and you're kind of muddled and walking through them, I would say, challenge you like, hey, you're not really being a good steward of what has been given to you, your way of leadership, the way you're managing yourself and your team. And so sometimes it takes just getting a clear mindset and kind of resetting things and looking and saying, oh, you know what? By focusing on this strength or this area, I'm actually going to be a good steward of my time, right? Time is a finite resource. We only have so much time. So, how are you managing that? Are you managing it well, or are you kind of frittering it away? And if you're struggling in that, having the right processes or systems to use, and how do I show up, and I really effective in my life, I encourage you to reach out to me. And happy to talk with you and share the tools that are working for me, right? What's working well, and let's get at we can question and find out what's working well with you and what's not working well, and how do you leave a less lasting legacy impact to those that you get to love, you get to serve, and you get to be a steward of. So I hope that resonated with you guys tonight. Go ahead and leave a comment on what you're stewarding. Is it your family? Is it your work? There you go. Is it your environment? What is it for you? And it could be hopefully multiple things. And where have you seen the wins and where have you seen the benefits of being intentional with what you're stewarding? So I appreciate you guys jumping on with me tonight. I'll be back tomorrow and continuing to share words of wisdom and experience along my journey as a coach and a guide, trainer, and facilitator. And I love hearing from you guys and getting your feedback. So thanks so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.